We have got this. If you know that sound, it is time for the Blitz Lines. The Blitz Lines are back, and yeah, it definitely, we got a lot of stuff that has happened here during the off season here across the Sunshine State, and definitely looking forward to talking about some of the topics that we have on deck tonight as we prepared for the show last night, Marty, and we're going to talk about those here coming up here in a moment.
Yeah, it's funny, like I said, the off season, and you're right. I feel like it was a long time since we were in Tallahassee for the state championships last December, but you're right. The summer goes kind of fast, and all of a sudden it's here. I mean, but you're right. I guess right now one of the first subjects we're going to have is kind of looking back on the off season and some of the big coaching changes in Central Florida, and I guess it kind of starts at the top with a defending state champion in Mainland.
No, absolutely. And let's talk about that with these top coaching changes that we've got here. And of course, as you said, the Mainland Buccaneers, that was probably the biggest top coaching change that we saw here this offseason in terms of Central Florida. And when we're talking about it, I mean, Travis Rowland going up I-95 to Camden County in Georgia. That right there was a huge move. It sent shockwaves through not just Central Florida, but the entire state, Marty. And honestly, I can tell you this: it's going to be interesting to see how the transition from Travis Rowland to Jeremy Bell happens. Jeremy Bell is a cousin of Travis Rowland. Jeremy Bell played for Mainland. Jeremy Bell did get the Port Orange Atlantic Sharks. He the head coach the last 3 years, did get him to a district championship last year. So they met their unfortunate match against Bradford in the first round. So
that's a tough first round matchup.
Yeah.
But that's a big story because we talked to Travis Rowland on our show last year, and he was pretty excited about that team. And as it turned out, their first state championship in 20 years, 2003 was the last time Mainland had won a state title. But you're right, Travis Rowland, a Mainland grad as well, and it's always hard to leave your alma mater. But I got to say, Camden County's a really good job. I mean, it really is.
No, absolutely, and especially with the amount they pay coaches in Georgia versus the amount they pay here in Florida, it's definitely very interesting. I wondered at one point when Travis Rowland stepped down, was he going to take his cousin up to Camden County, which would have left Mainland in a situation, but Jeremy, he decided stay back, get a chance to coach the alma mater, and. A lot of high expectations there for Jeremy, to be able, but he's got a lot of, assistant coaching background outside of being a head coach. And for him, Treasure Coast, he worked with Irvin Jones. I'm making sure that I'm getting the name correct here. Irvin Jones, the head coach down at Treasure Coast. So, Treasure Coast has been a really top, one of the top programs, not only just in the Treasure Coast area, but across the entire state over the last few years. And of course, that actually goes back over a decade if you want to look at it with Treasure Coast. So Jeremy Bell will definitely be a key addition there for the Mainland Buccaneers. And
any other coaching changes? Probably not as big as Mainland, but some that are going to be impactful coming into this season.
Well, Frank Scott leaving Eustis to go to Leesburg, that is definitely a big one after Leesburg had that 10-2 season last year. And then, Frank Scott's going to take over a team that, a lot of people wondering, was Leesburg, a fluke and everything. And we want to remind everybody real quick as I go through this discussion, if you got a comment or you got a question for us, you can drop that in the comments on Facebook, Twitter, or Twitter as they call it X, and our YouTube. We will see those comments pop up here, and you can see that on our screen. And then if you got a question or anything, just pop that comment in there in the comment box, and we may just pop it up here on the screen as we roll along here, Marty.
Yeah, we will do that for you, in fact. But yeah, you mentioned Frank Scott. Leesburg's coach has moved on. You're right, 10-2 they were last year, so that was quite a year for them as well. And really, other than that, I'm kind of I can't really think of another really coaching change that wasn't nearly as big as those two. I know nearly as big as Mainland. Yeah. That was the big one. And speaking of that, is Mainland, are they going to be able to repeat as state champs?
Yes, into the thing, and they actually can. Cocoa, Mainland, or the Masters Academy. And why the Masters Academy? They won the SSAA state championship title in 11-man football. So we're not biased to the SSAA by any means here on the Central Florida Blitz.
No, we're going to talk a lot about the SSAA, especially coming up this week. Our pick sixes they'll consist of SSAA games as their season gets started this week, mostly. But yeah, you mentioned Cocoa going for three-peat. This season, and they've been there before in this situation. And Cocoa last year, very dominant team as usual. They had no problem Had a close game with Bradford in the state championship, but again undefeated, won a state title, and then, as you said, Masters Academy, another team. That's Masters Academy of Oviedo,
Yes.
who was, as you say, won the SSSA. Excuse me, I can't even say it. SSAA 11 man
Yes.
title. FSSSA, you know.
Yeah, it definitely went, especially when the acronym used to be SSAC.
Yes, correct. So
But,
they changed the C to the A, but.
Yes, and we'll definitely think. But honestly, if out of those three teams, I honestly think Cocoa is the team that is going to have the best chance. Now, why do I don't think Mainland has the best chance? Well, with the reclassification, it changed everything. And when we look at it, there's Class 5A. This is where Mainland was placed at. There's defending state champs in Lakeland, and there's defending state champs in St. Thomas Aquinas sitting in that classification. And honestly, that is a tough gauntlet to deal with right there.
Yeah, they didn't get any favors from being reclassified, as you said. Mainland now, of course, we're going back from the last year. That was the
past 2 years.
2 years, yeah. The
Metro Suburban. I mean,
yeah, 3S state title was the one that Mainland won last year. Now they're back in 5A, so yeah, it changed a little bit as well. But yeah, I mean, Aquinas and Lakeland, that's quite a gauntlet there. And I guess so. We can, as we'll talk about this as this show goes on, but some other teams may be a little happier in 6A because they don't have to see Lakeland or
yeah, and there's going to be some teams that maybe in 6A. I mean, definitely when you go down the 4A, 3A, that's going to be another situation where there's going to be some teams winning some state championships that maybe if not were on the radar the last couple of years. So we'll see what happens there. But looking at it here with some of these teams, it definitely, I think, honestly, how the state championship's going to roll, that's going to be the next question, honestly. And looking at the next in the line of all this, how about this one in terms of the headlines here? And Edgewater traveling to Europe to play NFL Academy, the first team public school team in Florida to go play NFL Academy, and it's a preseason game.
Yeah, and I actually I had not heard of the NFL Academy, and I looked this up yesterday, and they're all over the world. I mean, but the one in Europe is one of the bigger ones that NFL Academy has. But yeah, that's quite a trip for a Florida high school team to go all the way to they're going. I think it's Great Britain, right? United Kingdom.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, over to Europe. Yes.
So that's going to be quite a trip for them. It's not a game that counts. It's kind of like basically a kickoff classic, but it'll show Edgewater where they are early in the season.
No, absolutely. And honestly, taking a look at everything here, I think Edgewater, it's an experience. They actually left this past Friday, went over. They're already over in London right now. They've been doing some school field trip activities there. And, of course, school's starting around most of the state, by the way, today. So a lot of schools took in session today, and I think Orange County was one of them. So the football players, they're getting a kind of a, excused absence. I guess they're getting counted as being at school, but they're on a school field trip, basically.
Yeah, it might be doing well. There's not a whole lot of schoolwork the first week, although it may be more so than it used to be. But yeah, maybe they have to do their homework. Well,
yes, I'm sure they're getting some homework there and everything. And
but you're right. Today actually was a lot of schools got back in session today. I know here in Alachua County they were back. Marion County nearby, up to Duval and Clay, and a lot of the schools are getting back in action, or getting back in session today.
No, absolutely. And of course, as we said, everybody, if you got a comment or you want to drop a thing for us, the seed, we can answer any questions or talk about anything, just drop the comment in the comment box on all the social media platforms we are streaming on. That's including Facebook, YouTube, and X. All right, the last topic here on the Blitz Lines for the opening show, to the top 10 preseason games, 10 preseason games you really should watch, I think, and, that are really exciting here. And a couple of ones that really stood out to me here, Marty, include Seminole versus Jones, which will be actually this Saturday at Camping World Stadium. That'll be a big one right there. Obviously, Edgewater NFL Academy, that's another one we just talked about there. And Mainland's taking on O'Galley, Rockledge at Palm Bay Heritage, Merritt Island at New Smyrna Beach. And looking at a couple other ones, Orange City University at Matanzas, and then we got Oviedo at Lake Mary. So and Dr. Phillips at Boone. So hey, if you're in Central Florida, you got a nice selection of games to choose from.
Not to mention Osceola, Osceola is going to Bishop Moore, and Buell's Gainesville Buell's heading to Spruce Creek for their kickoff classic. So that'll be a good test right away. Really, that would be a heck of a first week of games, really, that schedule. But you're right. I think Mainland O'Galley will be definitely one to watch. Seminole and Jones. I mean, Jones is literally across the street from Camping World Stadium, so they're just going to walk over, I guess, and play Sanford Seminole.
That's how they usually do it. Usually,
Yeah. And,
usually that's how they usually do it. But,
and I'm sure that's why Jones, when they've been making it to the state championship game last few years, wishes it was back in Orlando. but no, it hasn't been. They played in Daytona Beach in the final, and also recently as well in down in South Florida. But yeah, those are some of the games to watch. Of course, as we said, the SSAA, we'll talk more about this in our Pick 6. Their season gets started this Friday with regular season games. It's week 1 for them, and then, of course, the FHSA teams get it now,